Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from anthonymorganti.com, and this is episode 56 of Photo Critiques. And in Photo Critiques, people send me in some of their best images, and I critique each shot with suggestions on how they can improve it. And today I'm pleased to critique the work of Marshall Adams. And Marshall is actually a professional photographer in Canada. And he seems like a really nice guy. We've exchanged some emails and talked about some things about photography. And he asked me to look at a few of his shots, and I'm happy to. But before I get to Marshall's work, I just wanted to mention, to kind of give you guys an idea what I do with the critiques in my mind. Most of the people, not Marshall, but most of the people that send me work are amateurs that want to get better. And I've been around photography for a long time, and I've actually sold a lot of prints, and I've sold a lot. I've worked back in the past. I was a stock photographer, and that was not like micro stock is today. This was when I actually sent transparencies to my agent, which was FPG International. Before that, they were called Freelance Photographers Guild, and I would send them images, and then they would pick and choose what they thought they could sell. And time and again I'd get stuff rejected back then, and this was a great learning tool for me because they would tell me why something was rejected. Generally they were pretty good about it. So they would say why something wasn't good enough, which I sent them my images. I thought I'd send them 100 at a time, and I thought all 100 were fantastic. Sometimes they would keep 12, and send back 88, and right away you think you're the worst photographer in the world. But they tell you basically, subject not in shock focus, the subject is bullseyed, there's no main subject in the picture, leading lines don't resolve to anything. They would tell me all these things all the time, and as I got better at it, they would keep more and more of my 100. I would send 100, and they'd keep, instead of sending back 12 or keeping 12 and sending back 88, they would keep 88 and send back 12. So I got an idea of what was in demand, and in that it was always a real strong emphasis on focus. Make sure everything's in focus. Make sure that the exposure is perfect. Make sure it's color balanced right. And make sure that you have a definitive subject in the picture that someone could lock onto and relate to. Now, when I do the critiques, it's always hard for me to relate to that specific person because I don't know, maybe that person just wants to be a better photographer, but maybe they want to be an editorial photographer or a photojournalist or commercial photographer or wedding photographer. I mean, all that would take some slightly different recommendations. So I'm pretty bland more about what I recommend, and I always try to be positive no matter what and offer positive reinforcement. I'm not one of those people that would shove a puppy's nose in his duty because he soiled on the floor. I'm always giving positive reinforcement. So that's the way I do it. And just so you understand what I'm trying to do, I had somebody actually write a blog post saying that they didn't like the way I do critiques because I'm too nice, that I don't say a picture is a bad picture. So that's just kind of stupid if you ask me. But that goes with the territory. When you put yourself out there, people are going to criticize you, and I accept that. But I just wanted to make everyone aware of what I tried to accomplish with the critiques. Now, I'm sorry I went on too long, but that's okay because Marshall only has a few images, so it won't take very long to get through them. Okay, now I'm done with that. Now let's get to Marshall's images. The first shot, this is an example of framing. Marshall has these two pine trees right here, and we're framing these beautiful mountains in the background. The picture itself, technically is fine, everything like that. We have some people right here. What this picture, because the framing is blocking off so much of the photograph, and we have this part over here which really doesn't add to the photograph at all. Our main interest should be these mountains. What I would like to see, and I think would add to the picture, is if we have the people here, but what if there was a person fishing off this dock right here? You know, the best case scenario is a father and a little child, or a family fishing. That would add a lot of interest to the shot and help get something for you to resolve on when you look at the shot. So that's just a suggestion of how you could enhance the shot. Other than that, the shot's okay. The sky, there's not much there, and that's probably why Marshall framed it, so you wouldn't really notice the sky. I always talk about minimize things you don't want people to really dwell on. So he did that. It's a little hazy. That could be part of, I had to blow the shot up to get it on, so the resolution isn't as good. And I showed you in past critiques how you could get rid of haze if you wanted to. But that's give you an idea of what where I would go if possible with the shot. This is a really nice shot. I think Marshall told me that he just turned around and saw this scene. He was actually shooting the other way. And that's what I encourage everyone to do. Sometimes when we get to a scene, we're so focused on looking one way because we see something beautiful that way. Well, spin around 360 degrees and look around. Sometimes you see other opportunities. And this is a really nice shot. Again, he has exposure, focus nailed. Very well done. Sky's interesting. I mentioned before, if you shoot flags, always try to shoot them. Hopefully the wind is cooperating. You'd shoot them going from the flagpole to the right, because that's the natural way a flag is pictured. In this case, obviously, we're looking at the backwards Canadian flag. So it doesn't really distract from the shot, but it's something to keep in mind that if possible, try to shoot the flag so it's waving to the right. This is a very nice shot again. Beautiful mountains, very nice sky, almost blown out here, but he has it under control. The thing I noticed in Marshall's shots, and I'd like to, I don't know, this is a very small sample size, is most of his shots are up. Like he doesn't have anything much in the foreground. So that's something maybe because he only has 4 or 5 images here. But that could be something too, that all of us, we get in the habit of shooting something the same way. We could be shooting the sand dunes in New Mexico, and then we could go shoot the ocean, the Pacific Ocean on Malibu, and then we could go be shooting mountain ranges in the Northeast, and we still kind of shoot things the same way. Well, I would encourage everyone to mix it up. Marshall, maybe most of his shots are to get the dramatic sky and the mountains in. Well, try something from a very low perspective. Try something different. Get down on your belly. Strain your neck. Get the camera down in a different area that you've never done before. Of course, definitely take a shot like this, but then work the scene by doing different angles and doing things you're not always doing. Try to mix it up. And this is the last shot. Again, shooting up, but very nice. We talked about, we've had the last few critiques, we've had a lot of foreground elements that were out of focus, and I mentioned that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's hit and miss, and in this case it works. Very well done. We have the windmill. I'm not exactly sure what that is over there, but I think it might be some plant material that's coming into the frame. I'm not really sure, but I would clone that out. I would get rid of that. But it's a fine shot. I like the dramatic color. We have the blue sky and yellow in front. Very nicely done. And that's it for Marshall. Thank you very much, Marshall, for sharing your images with us. So guys, keep that in mind when you go to a scene. Try it different ways. Don't get stuck doing things the same way every time. You always shoot landscapes on f11. You always use the tripod, and the tripod's always chest high, and stuff like that. You always shoot horizontals. You always shoot, you know what I mean? Try different ways. Try shooting verticals. Try getting down low if you're always going up high. Try going up high if you're always going down low. If you never have foreground elements in your shot, do that. And the last thing I would recommend is don't be afraid to have people in the shot. If you're going for fine art prints, you might not want to have people unless you're trying to relate to scale. You're doing some huge like rock, granite rock somewhere, and you want to show how humongous it is, so you have a person in there as scale. Well, that could be a fine art print, but generally a fine art print is just, you won't generally, if it's a landscape, you won't have a person in it. But if you're doing, editorial work, sometimes some commercial work, you might need to have people in the shot. So don't be afraid to have people in the shot. It really will add to the shot, and I think it would on this one if we had some people on this stock. And that's it. Again, thank you everyone for watching my critiques and putting up with my diatribe at the beginning of this critique, and I appreciate it. And if you guys haven't already, go over to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'd really, really appreciate that. And that's it for now. Thank you, Marshall. Thank you, everyone.